Any questions, comments after reflecting? I'll call you at random and then, so Bintu, do you have any questions, any comments after reflecting? Amanda. Bintu, are you with us? Hello, Bintu. Bintu, can you, if you are with us, is there any comment you have? Any after reflections? Amanda. Amanda. Isabella.
Baba, please, I have no questions.
Okay, so Bintu. You're in a noisy environment.
No, sir, I don't have any questions, please.
Aminat. Aminat.
Good afternoon, sir. I just
Any comments?
no, I just came online. No comments, sir.
Okay. Maureen.
No question for me, sir. I'm fine.
Okay. Millicent.
Good afternoon, sir. I do not have any questions on my own end, sir.
Tijani.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon to you all.
Good afternoon.
No comment from my side.
Okay. So will I take it that you all don't have any, after reflection, you don't have any questions? Now, what we would do today, or I'll tend to do today, is in two parts. The first part, we'll be looking at program design. So your social enterprise, how do you design it? How do you design it to be able to raise money that you are looking for? What are the considerations? How do you even think about the idea of this area that you want to do it? How do you gather the information to be able to put that thinking process to do it? And then our second part would be to look at when you do it, how do you approach donors? How do you get people to buy your idea? How do you pitch? How do you do those presentations? So that is what we will do. Our style today is going to be a bit more different from what we have done, not too completely off, but you will be doing most of the talking. I'm just going to spend some few minutes to introduce the whole topic, and then you would do the talking on how you have been doing it. So program design what is this thing that we call program design in social enterprise? Who has an idea what your layman's understanding of program design? Who has an idea on, can you see the slide? Can you all see the slide?
Yes,
Yes,
I
please.
can.
Yes,
Thank you.
please.
Yes,
I can.
please.
Okay. So what is program design? Who has an idea what program design, the whole idea of program design? Now, in your work, in trying to see whether you want to intervene in a job creation area or you want to empower young girls or you want to ensure that they aren't school dropouts, you normally have to do what you call a design. Now, based on your design thinking and all that, you do the design. That's to conceptualize the whole program that you want to implement or intervene in. And this is all what you call the program design. Then it is that whole framework where you sit down and then you do the conceptualization and begin to develop what you call a concept note. And then based on the concept note, when you begin to share it with your donors or your financiers or people of like mind who want to join, and then they ask you to develop it into a full proposal. Now, when you would have done that, and then you move into the proposal stage, before you begin blowing everything up, you have done some desktop work by really trying to understand what it is that you are going in. And then you follow it up with some scoping exercise. And that is normally true what you have done in your design thinking to see that, look, this thing that we are coming to implement, is it really what the people want? Have we really defined the problem? Then you would develop that full proposal. The whole process would involve you getting your log frame and looking at what success will look like. Get your KPIs, that is key performance indicators, the number that you want to reach. It is that whole thinking of the process that will give you that that big picture to move in. And in developing to the point of your proposal, you then have to begin to look at things like your log frame, you look at your team, you have to look at, do you have past records that have you done it before? If you haven't done it, what is it that, how do you really make sure that you can show that evidence that you really have what it takes to do that? And that is normally in practice what is done. So it's a whole big process, and it gives you how you then would do to win the proposal. The proposal could either be a solicited. When you are going for a solicited proposal, what it means is that the donor is asking you to submit the design. Sometimes you go for unsolicited. In that case, no donor is asking you, but you are getting up and say, I can do it. These days, the donors try to move to the next level where it is, they know what they want. You also think that you know what is best for them. So you move into a stage of doing co-creation, and you all sit down. There have been cases where the co-creation would involve multiple teams. So your organization, another organization, and then they take 3 different organizations to come together and co-create the solution for the donor. And that is how you go in to be able to get your proposal done. A typical proposal, a typical design will show your technical approach. How do you approach the work to create jobs? So I am trying to look at creating jobs in some regions in Ghana with the assistance of the Koreans who have some money to spend. And we just didn't sit down to do it. We are still at our preliminary stages. However, when you take the work, the amount of effort that has gone in, you would see that we've gone past what some people would call the preliminary. But for us, this is still the preliminary where we know exactly what we'll do. We're going to go in working around 20 districts. But based on our preliminary responses, we are looking at just 4 districts. Then you look at your past performance. Your past performance, does it really give you the leverage to move in? Who are the team members? How are you going to fill the people? And how do you intend to manage the whole program? These are the key pillars that you normally look at in your design as you present it for funding or as you roll it out to do your implementation. Typically, what we would look at if it is going to a donor to fund your design, the 3 key areas. So if the quality of personnel, the methodology, which is your approach, and then these 2 areas together gives you 70% of the score. And then your financials, that is your budget, would constitute only 30%. And this is how financiers, donors, impact investors would always look at your design to fund your project. Your design goes through phases. So your pre-positioning. So your pre-positioning is that thinking, like we are discussing, and you are beginning to get your ideas. So you are doing your research and all that. And then you put that in a concept and share it with the donor, with your people. This is what I want to do. And then you develop your full proposal before you submit. So there are 4 distinct phases in really going out there to look for money. Typically, you don't have the resources yet to go through this elaborate scheme. But a typical way of getting it is that you should be able to have different people doing the different things. So you have people who can do the conceptualization. Some of you are technical people. Some of you write very well. There are people who do writing. They can write and everybody understands, but they don't really have the technical mind. So you, the one with the technical information,
Your voice is down.
you will do the technical, you'll be the technical lead. And then you have people who will be looking at your budget. So your budget people are the people who are very good in finance. It is not only the guys who have ideas in finance who can be your budget people, but even you've done it before. And then you look at the design team. So all these things go into a design. And that is how you do this. So you get 2 or 3 people who will sit down and design. They don't have the idea to conceptualize, but they can design a program for you to go out and implement. And in my work, I've used people who have who are very good at proposal writing. I write it proposal myself. I've used different people to be technical advisors because they have the technical know-how in the particular area that we want to intervene. I'll pause here and then call voluntarily. You come and tell us how you have done it in your organization. How have you designed the programs, or how do you intend to design programs? How have you done it? I'll start with Amanda. Can you give us ideas how you've done it?
So I haven't done any of this. I'm just I have no knowledge. Yeah.
Don't you have an organization already you are working on?
No, I'm currently having my national service, so I've not been exposed to this level yet. So I'm just learning from scratch.
Aminat, your contribution is compulsory for me. Aminat. Aminat. Sandra, were you going to say something? Look, I can see your mic is unmuted. So once you've unmuted, you just continue to tell us how you've done it.
I'm sorry, I was off for a minute. How did I do? What are we talking about?
We're talking about the program design. How have you designed your program? How have you gone about writing your proposal?
Oh, proposals. Okay.
Yes, let's hear you.
So usually it's giving the introduction or overview of the whole thing, where you have to give a background, say, and so for instance, if I for books to a particular school, then I would have to establish why, and for my organization, we do it.
Can you? I want you in practice, not the structure of in practice. How did you design the program to do what area are you working on now in your organization?
We deal with promoting in Ghana among school children.
Promoting what in Ghana? You're having a lot of interruptions. So, okay, she's dropped. Can we get here Bismarck? Bismarck. Bismarck Mensa. Bismarck, are you there?
Yes, please.
Yes, can we hear you?
Now, regarding the my proposal.
What project, what program are you working on in your organization, and what you are currently doing?
Yeah, currently we are working on what we call the dignity project, which seeks to give a facelift to some schools in deprived communities within the central region in Ghana. So the project seeks to help renovate some of these schools that are very dilapidated and therefore becomes not they are not enticing for the kids to be in school and feel secure. So that is what we are working on.
So how did you, in terms of conceptualizing the whole program, how did you go about it? And what, all these dignity projects that you are doing, what is the so what of it? And how did you put it on paper?
How do we collect data?
How did you put that idea to come out with the idea and say, this is what we want to do? At the end of the program, this is what the transformation we expect.
Oh, okay. So the idea was born out of a first visit we made to those schools in some rural districts within the central part of Ghana. So having visited the area, those places to donate learning materials to them, we found that the schools had issues in terms of their structure and then buildings. How come we got the idea of bringing about that project?
And so in this whole process of doing that, how did you then, at the end of the project, what do you seek to achieve?
Okay, so at the end of the project, we seek to improve the school environment and make it more learning friendly and create some sense of security for the kids that study in those structures, so that when they are coming to school, they feel more secure and they feel that the environment is more supportive for learning. And we believe that by the end of the project, it should encourage the student to actively participate and be punctual as school.
How did you raise the money?
Please again, the question again.
How did you raise the money?
Okay, the funding is actually coming from individuals that we made appeal to. We wrote to some individuals to seek funding from them.
Yes, so
Funding from them, and then the organization also has some funds that it generates through engaging in some seminar organizations and other programs. So
okay,
it's part of self-funding and then funding from other supporters.
yes, so your social enterprise activity. Now, in writing, did you just write a letter to people and say, can you give us funding? How did
No,
you
please.
them?
Yeah, we wrote a proposal and indicated the goal of the project. We gave the background and then linked it to sustainable development, the goal 4 in terms of equitable quality education. Then we also argued why the renovation of those schools is key. Then we looked at the aims or the deliverables of the projects, and then added the funding that will require, the timelines of the project, and how we are going to execute it. So we explained all that in the proposal and attached the letter to that.
Okay. So let's hear from Isabella. Isabella.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear
you. Baba, please, I'm here.
Okay, so Isabella, let's hear from Bismarck. You can you can mute. Let's hear
Okay.
from Isabella.
Okay.
What are you doing and how did you go about it in terms of putting the concept and then seeking the money?
Baba, please, I do not officially have any organization that I'm running. Whatever I'm doing currently, I'm doing it as a teacher. So I don't officially have any organization with structures that I put things in place in that way. I'm currently just doing what I term like more of like an outreach. So I was moved to a school where I identified that the the school staging structure wasn't the best. So I sought for funds or for support from friends, and they came in to help renovate. So after giving my feedback, I got other people who were willing to support since they found out that I was in a rural area. So different types of supports come for the kids. So basically, I don't really have anything officially going on, documented, or I don't know how to say it, but
Okay, so your concept is still in your head.
basically, yes, please.
Okay, but we want us to move beyond that and begin to structure things and put them in the concept and move through the stages so that you then have a very robust concept that you are working on. And then when you are doing the intervention, you know that it is like this. This is the way we go around it. Can we hear from Obi? Chidera, Obi. Chidera Obi. Are you there? Community health for community health for your we don't see your mic, you have a mic, sorry. Community health for you're not contributing. Grace.
Hi, sorry.
Okay, yes. Who just responded?
Sandra.
Sandra, yes, yes. Now you are clear. Yes. Continue
Yes.
from where you stop, yes. Oh, another your location is a problem.
So for my organization,
Can you change maybe where you are standing?
what we do is we promote Hello, can anyone hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, but it breaks. There's always a break in it.
Oh, okay. Please, is it better now?
Yes, yes, it's better.
Oh, okay. Right. So what we do is that we promote reading, like I stated earlier, and a practical example of one program we did, where the program was dubbed Reading for Fun. And it was done in a constituency somewhere in Ashanti region. Because we needed funds for the books that we will give to the children, because for us, we don't just want to, have a program where we read and there are other interesting activities, but we want the kids to have something to go home with, something more lasting. So we try to get them pleasure reading books that they can take home or even establish libraries in their schools. And for us to be able to do that, we reach out first to the publishing house, one publishing house, with a proposal that they would print. If we are able to get an MP to sponsor the program or buy us the books, they will print their image, on the first page of the book to show that it's donation from these people. And then the discounts that they were supposed to give them from purchasing bulk purchases of bulk number of the book will come to our organization. So we liaise between the publishing house and this MP or whoever is looking for public recognition that we can appeal to. So when we negotiated with the MPs, their take-in or their benefit was that they will get to, the book will be credited to them. They'll have their images in front of every single book that is by their courtesy of them that is being donated to these schools. The publishing houses will get their money, their interests are satisfied, and we as an organization will get the discounts and the benefits back to us that we'll be able to host or say fund these programs that we conduct. So that is how we went about our.
Okay, so is all these things structured and documented on the process?
Yes, it is structured.
Okay.
So the first proposal is the publishing houses, and then we also structured the whole thing to the MP, so that we made him aware that this and this is the process. But what they don't know is that the discounts that we are going to get from their purchases will come to us and not them.
Okay. So you essentially rely on the MP's common fund.
More like.
Oh, okay.
But there are other instances that other organizations funds do. But I mean, this was just one practical example that I thought I could use.
Okay. Other organizations are more sustainable for me. I'm a bit uneasy dealing and having the images of
Good afternoon.
On good afternoon. Is that Sarah?
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. You want to contribute?
First of all, I'm kind of lost. I don't know whether I'm the only one experiencing it, because
you dropped. We can't hear you.
Everybody was speaking, it has been cracked exactly what the question is or what.
We can't hear you. I can't hear. I couldn't
People are
get
responding on. So I'm kind of, in order to see. That's why I just want to confirm, because I barely have an idea what's going on. That's why I'm trying to draw your attention.
So the question is, in the work you are currently doing, how did you go about how do you normally go about the process of putting that idea and approaching organizations or individuals for funding? That process, designing your program and putting your thinking on paper. Sarah.
Yeah, I'm here. It was cracking.
What the question is, based on what you are currently doing, tell us the process in the light of program design. How do you, or how have you designed the program? And how do you use that design to approach donors to give you money, or individuals? Or how do you use the design to raise funding? Is that clear?
No, I didn't get at some point, just like I complained.
I think
I'm having a network problem, so that's why it was.
What is the process of, what processes do you go through to put your idea from the concept stage and then approaching impact investors, going out there to get money or implement or roll out your project? Is it clear? Sarah, is it clear?
I think she's off.
No, but hey, she's showing here. Okay. So we heard from Sandra, not Sandra. The last speaker was telling us how she goes
it's
about.
Me.
Noted down some things in the agenda.
Okay, Tijani, can you give us an idea?
one, opening remarks. Okay. Number two, introduction of members. Number three.
Tijani, can the one whose mic is off, can you Peace Foundation, can you put off your mic? Somebody is we are hearing disturbances from the background. If you are not contributing, can you put off your mic?
Are we going to talk about the NUS? I mean the national focal point.
BB for Peace Foundation, if you are not contributing, can you put off your mic? Bismarck, your mic is on. Can you put off your mic?
This meeting is 27. That's next week Thursday.
Yes.
Next week Thursday. So we're going.
I think we are good to go now.
Okay. Tijani, I called you. Can you make any contribution on this?
Hello, sir. Can I contribute?
Yes, you can.
Okay. So in a program design, first you have to start with a proposal. And from your proposal, like what the proposal typically contains, you have to introduce what your program is about. You have to make your program look robust in a way that donors will be excited to actually give you money. You must state your problem, why you want to go into this venture, and it must be justifiable. Then after that, you have to give them a timeline too, because if you are doing a program must have a timeline. How long is your program going for? You understand? So when you go about it that way, you draw out a budget. That budget is going to entails, it's typically entails what you need for your project to be delivered. So I think in essence, in a nutshell, that is all about program design. That is my own contribution.
How do you do yours? Is that what you do, or this is what is
actually I work with an organization, and my organization actually rely on donor support.
Yeah, so how do you go about it?
I'm not the one in charge of it, sir. I'm just a staff there. Yeah, I'm a socioeconomic assistant with my organization, so I'm not the one writing the proposals. So, but from my own point of view, I just decided to contribute because I know they actually write proposals. I've not seen any of the proposals actually, but it is through proposals we get funding.
But the donors request for the proposals, or you decide that you go to the donor and then you tell them that we can do this?
I'm not in the helm of affairs for that, but I think, hello, sir.
I can hear you.
Like, okay, for the one I'm currently working on, which is being sponsored by a United States Agency for International Development, is about protecting the Cross River National Park, typically the critically endangered Cross River gorilla. So what they are currently doing is how to see, what we are currently doing rather, is how to prevent these the rural farmers from encroaching into the national park, because most of them they are mainly cocoa farmers, and they believe that when their farms are no longer productive anymore, they tend to go into the forest to clear new lands. They believe when you clear a new forest, your cocoa will thrive very well. So what WCS is doing is actually giving them improved variety to plant in their already degraded farm, because those improved variety are going to actually grow on those degraded farmlands, thereby preventing them from going into the forest to clear new areas of forest for farmlands.
Okay, but
so
are you also
means of supporting their livelihood?
Okay, but are you also looking at diversifying their incomes?
Yes, that is part of it, but we've not started it yet, because we are thinking of giving them other alternative sources like for the youth, you know, give and training them on skills acquisition and others, but we've not delved into that yet.
How did you get that idea of, did you just plug it on the tree that will give them skills
Yeah,
acquisition?
I'm sorry, sir. I don't know. I can't say.
So that process of getting that alternative livelihood would have been done through the engagement with the community and some other desktop research to confirm
Okay,
that.
okay. We actually did a baseline survey.
Yes.
We actually did a baseline survey before we started with the communities. You understand? So we went to the communities and we asked them some questions. So it was actually from those questions we found out that most of them are cocoa farmers. So it is from those interviews too, we found out that some of the youths actually want other source of livelihood support instead of giving them improved variety of cocoa.
Okay, so
basically what I'm just contributing based on the program design you're talking of, because
yes, no, I understand. So I just want you to bring, because as you are giving the example, there are other areas that your class they also want to hear, and
okay,
bringing out those areas.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was not the one in charge of writing the proposal or interacting with the donor. Mine is just to do the work.
Okay, but given now what we are discussing, what if you go back? How do you intend to use this knowledge you are getting here so that the next time we meet you, you say, okay, now this is what we can do, rather than looking at it, this is
So
what is done.
if I go back with what you are teaching us, when I get back, I'm going to speak with my coordinator and discuss with him on how to get me involved in program design and pitching in my organization, like you are rightly teaching us. Because I think if I understand it better, it's going to help my own, how am I going to put it now? I don't know the word to use. It's going to help me in the long run.
Your career path.
Yes. It's going to help me in the long run.
Okay. Any other? I think she brought out a lot of some of the salient issues. The missing link here, or the missing gap, was you see, you don't wait for a donor to come and tell you that this is what you do. What you do is that you begin thinking of what you can do, because that is your how you survive. So you begin looking at, even through newspapers and other things, you see there's a problem here. For example, illegal mining. Now, as a development or a change agent, your idea is not going into develop illegal mining, but you would identify that what is the push factor for the illegal mine, and therefore, if governments are clamping down on illegal mining, what does it mean for the youth? It means that most of them will go underground or be doing something else. So what program can I develop or design that would absorb these youth and young people whose livelihood has been destroyed? Or illegal mining in communities destroy the ecosystem and farms. So the people already have lost the basis for their livelihood. As a change agent, as a social entrepreneur, what program can I design that would go in to get these people who have lost their land because people have illegally mined their land and destroyed them? So that is how you begin the whole thought process of getting your design. And it is true, a lot of things. Yes, Maureen, your hand is up.
Hi. Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, my name is Maureen. I currently co-found a nonprofit called Mo Suleiman Education Initiative. and skills acquisition. So why we actually started that organization was because we found that a lot of students and within the North Central were dropping out of school, public school, I would say. And that was because, not because the school was not free or was not affordable, but because the students they were not getting what was being taught in class. We have a lot of students in one class. You can find about, in the public school, you can find about 80 to 60 to 70 students, to some are even up to 100 in a class. That is supposed to be less than that in order to get the students more interested in learning. And these teachers will come to class and tutor for an hour, and most of these students don't even understand what's going on. So most of them don't get interested in learning, and because most of the teachers don't even care to go back and make the student understand, because most of the public school teachers that we have come across only see it as a way, as a means to an end. So we created this organization to help provide after school tutoring and mentoring for these kids. In the tutoring is for maths, English, for the basic subjects, and the mentoring is for them to acquire skills. It's never too early for a child to start acquiring basic skills in basic entrepreneurial skills. That's how we look at it. So yeah, so before we started, we created this board, like a blueprint to help guide us. We knew we wanted to start small because we knew that the problem was huge and a lot of people needed that help. But we knew we wanted to start small and start impacting from within our own community first, before spreading out to, of course, other communities and to other states. We had to work with the education board here in Abuja, here in Nigeria, and also with the teachers. And for those that really know the system of education system in Abuja or Nigeria, you will know that it's a little bit of a hustle to work with the education board and to also work with the school, because there's always a conflict of interest on superiority between the board and the school authorities. So yes, we actually get our funding from other organizations like TY Janjuma, and also we also get some funding from individual donors who fund our project. But last year we had this idea to start I would say the students started the idea. They started to set up a play, and they do it at the ending of every school year. So they set up a play. We host the play at the individual schools, and parents and other guests come to watch the play, and they pay to watch those plays, and the money goes back into their mentoring gig to help them gather what the resources needed for their mentoring gigs. So yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So in all these things, what role did your past experience play in convincing people to part with money?
Actually, I've worked with some NGOs before, and I've also been in such kind of situation before because I was a product of the same kind of institution. So it was easy for me to kind of convince the people, knowing having that experience already. So it was easy to convince some donors about that because I had a broad knowledge of how things are being done within that area and how the education has been run, because it hasn't changed over a long period of time. I would say more than 20 years, it has stayed the same. So it was kind of easy to strategize, knowing that, having that experience and strategizing on that experience, and also doing my research on what has changed or what haven't changed. So after doing our research, we gathered some data and of course met the right people before, of course, approaching the donors, because most of those donors, of course, they will ask you questions. They can't part with their money without knowing exactly what part of the project you'll be investing in, on what part of the program is getting their money, of course. So we had to have more knowledge of the donors too, because we have to know that they are interested in that particular part of the project that we're investing their money in, because if they're interested in that, they are more convinced about what you're saying, not just meeting someone to invest and to contribute their money or donate their money, and they are not interested in it, and they are not putting they are not committed to the same cause as you are. So yeah, I would say my experience helped me get donors on board.
Okay, so what I'm getting is that there is a need for it to be a meeting of minds, that the donors are interested in what you want to do, and that you also demonstrate that you have the capability and the credentials to really implement
yes,
and that the monies that they are giving will not be thrown away.
Yes.
Now, these are very, very key things. Now, oftentimes we go in looking for, or we see in the newspaper ad, on social media, on the internet, that a donor is looking for someone or some organization to invest to implement a program or to bring a proposal. It is not always that we have to respond to proposals. What you have to do is, yes, somebody. Pardon? Isabella, your mic is off. So it is not all those things that you have to be responding to. Sometimes the donor in their mind, they know the group of implementers they want to give the money to. But for the purposes of making it look transparent, they come and then you jump into it. And if you keep jumping into every opportunity that comes, you end up, you burn out. So you have to position yourself in such a way that you are the donor, you are the person or the organization that the donor will look for. Now, in my work, what I've tried to do is that any donor that is coming is looking for some expertise in the area. I'm among one of the people that they would reach out to. And it is up to me to say, I can do it, I cannot do it. That is how you should be able to get yourself. So you have to begin to look at networking. You attend some conferences, you just go there, just go and exchange cards. And then they know that your organization exists, your web pages, Twitter, you follow them in everything. And then you make sure that you contribute. Sometimes the special USAID, they can come with an APS and then annual program statement. And then they ask you to comment on something. And you have to demonstrate that you have. What I have done is, in all these things, I begin all the processes with what we call industry strategic plan. So when I take youth unemployment, for example, is an industry that I'm looking at, and I have a strategic plan for that. Local economic development. I've taken the local economic development. So the whole ecosystem of local economic development, I have looked at it and developed a whole framework around it. So any donor that is coming and then they have something that they want to do in local economic development, it is very easy for you to contribute and design the program for them. Youth unemployment, I've looked at it in terms of the different shades of youth unemployment. Migration, we have issues of migration of young people trekking through the Sahara and going to Europe. So you develop it, and I've done the development and done what I call youth migration industry strategic plan. So everything you need to know about that particular area. If it is poverty, you do that. Once you have done all those things, your writing your proposal, writing your concept is very, very easy. And it also comes from some of the thought leadership things that you do. One person mentioned that they went to they fail to do a baseline. The baseline, you do the baseline, and as you're doing your baseline, you are really gathering other information that will position you for other projects. You have been taught, and in your work, they talk about M&E. M&E has moved from the level where we are talking about numbers. So you've taken the numbers, so what? M&E, the emphasis is on the learning. The emphasis should be on the learning. What worked and what didn't work. Once you have that information, you can use that to develop more other programs and write proposals. So even before the donor even comes to talk to you or come out with some idea, you can walk to the donor and say, you know what, these are concepts, let us look at this. A few years ago, in a program, we just got up one day and said, look, there is a problem of stunting. The nutritionists here should pardon me if I use them wrongly, but there's a problem of stunting, malnutrition, and wasting in West Africa. And so what can we do to look at stunting, wasting, and malnutrition along the lines of empowering women? So you're looking at the women's empowerment program, but you put in nutrition as part of it. And the exercise in developing the whole framework, we then went back and presented it to USAID. They picked it and said, okay, we'll think about it. 2 years down the line, they used it to design a program, and then they were involving some other organization. Now, the way they redesigned the whole thing, and then they wanted us to bring a proposal, we just went back and said, no, we are not interested in it. Now, the only reason why we're not interested in it, some organizations were part of the implementation, and we don't think that our objectives met. So we just pulled back. The program is still being implemented across West Africa. It's been on for, I can say, maybe the last 10 or 15 years. The last tranche of money came in, I think, a year ago to really go in and do these things. So you have all these things that your program design, you can develop programs around. Don't wait for any donor to come and tell you that go and do this, go and do that, go and do that. You should be able to tell the donor, no, this is what we'll do. In November, a foreign government moved in and they wanted to develop a program in Togo and in Ghana on youth unemployment. And they were so fixated in what they wanted to do. You know, a few engagement, we said, no, you can't do it like that. Because if you come and you are saying youth unemployment, and you are being very prescriptive and say, these are the skills we want to give them, that is wrong approach. The approach is, we are ready to give you skills, but it will depend on the areas of skills that they are looking, they will do. The worst thing you can do for them is to define maybe 5 skills area and say, these are the ones we can provide, so that then you are narrowing it down. But if you just say you have one type of skill that you want to provide to the youth, that is really not going to solve the problem that you are doing. And it comes on the expert advice, what you have done in your past to design programs that you can sell. Programs design is like a commodity you are manufacturing that you go out to sell. So you always you have them plenty in your this one. They can be 1 page, they can be half a page. You haven't really blown it up. You know, you also have to be very careful how you share some of those ideas around, because then some people can, there's always idea theft. People would steal your idea and then they are implementing it, and you'll be out of the game. And that is how you go around doing your program design. Now, based on that, you would have done, you will also be able to do your budgeting. Budgeting is a technical area. These are the things that you should avoid in your program design as you go engaging with your donors. Sometimes you are they can use you as a cannon fodder. Now, those of you who are military background, cannon fodder in the military. So you've been following Russia, Ukraine, all the young people on 20 years, they put them in front, and then the experienced soldiers are at the back. The young people will go and die. They're using them as cannon fodder. So as a change agent, as a social entrepreneur, don't allow your organization to be used as a cannon fodder. To use your organization as a cannon fodder is a situation where you submit, you are just making up the number. So we are looking for proposal for 10 organizations and you are part of it. We know that you won't give it to you. So you are just there to make up the number and then we'll just throw you out. So when we are asking how many people submitted, 10, including you, but we know that you are not submitting, you are not part of the people we are looking for. These are the things that you should bear in mind, that they are using you as a cannon fodder. So, one, that you have no real relationship with the founder. The founder and the funders, they don't know you. Just as she said, she moves and goes there and based on the past work that she's done. So that's why I encourage you to continue to engage donors even at conferences. Yesterday, some donor they're moving from Turkey and they want to do some investment somewhere in Ghana. I didn't go there to meet. Some other person met them in Estonia. And then they want to do something. And then it's like, oh, this particular investment, this particular project that we want to fund, these are the people we can talk to. So you are in their eyes. You are part of the people they are thinking of. So I know that when they bring a proposal, request a proposal, I'm not a cannon fodder. That don't bid or jump on any pop-up. You should know that the procurement is coming. What we do is that a lot of these donors have their site and they tell you the timelines. We're going to go this year, we're going to do this year, we're going to do that. You can get that information from what they call their country operation plan. You can Google and get them COPs, the country operation plans. And in the country operation plan, they will tell you areas they want to intervene. So you're preparing yourself. Be the best team. That you don't have a best team. Never go in and then you don't have the appropriate team that you would use to submit or write your concept. When you lose, what are the reasons why the donors will tell you that or the funder, a potential impact funder will tell you that your thing is not working? It is that your proposal, your approach is not aligned with their priorities. And the last speaker mentioned this, that there has to be meeting of minds. That this is where we want to go to. Yes, you are the person they have to put their money in. You don't get it because you are too expensive. And my organization has lost a lot of opportunity because we're actually very expensive. And we knew that we're expensive. When others are charging a management fee, do you charge management fees? So other organizations will charge a management fee of 5%. In my organization, we were charging management fee of 25%. Take it or leave it. Until we realized that we're too expensive. By the time we realized we're expensive, the game was over. Do not go, if you have to partner with other organizations, make sure that you are choosing organizations that are also competitive. Take time to develop a proposal. So if somebody ever invites you and says, submit a proposal, the deadline is Friday, forget it. Today is Monday. you cannot submit any good proposal by Friday. If you, I mean, unless you are just, you're going to waste your time. You should have a clear more than a week. I've had situations where a donor has called, say, the first of all, they came and said, can you give us a concept and an advice on this? So the advice was given. Apparently, they were going to use the advice to do, to call us to submit a proposal. Now, I had traveled by then, and then on Monday morning, they sent an email and said, we should submit a proposal which was due on Wednesday. Wednesday, I mean, that's crazy. Nobody can submit it. Monday, you are telling me to submit a proposal on Wednesday by 10 a.m. No. So I called. After reviewing the thing, I realized that no, this is something that you can make good money out of. So I called and said, look, nobody can do this one. So then the guy said, oh, we thought that because you gave us the ideas, you already have the information sitting on your desk. I said, yeah, the information is there, but I need to sit down and think. I have other things, people have other things to do. So can you give, then they asked, what time do you think that you can submit? And we said, okay, we'll submit by Sunday. And then, but in that case, they had planned that they were going to award the whole thing to us, because the idea, what they wanted to do was, it was our idea that we sold to them initially for free, but in the end, it came with money. So this is how you go doing it. Be a team to beat. Make sure that you are the best team. You have, your team leader is a very good person. Your previous experience in the country or content. So our speaker said she had done something and her previous experience gave her that leverage. She actually even used herself as the customer persona. She was the donor's persona. So she had suffered the same fate before, so it was easy for her. Make sure that you have a relationship with the donor and you understand their key priorities. The speaker who just gave us the example gave that thing that, look, you have to understand them. Your partners should be strong. And then you need to invest resources. So you need to really have information in the area that you are designing. So anytime you are going for your M&E, make sure that you collect information that includes lessons learned. The lessons learned that you've collected are valuable information that you can turn around and then package and sell in terms of developing new programs. Any questions? Any contribution on designing programs and then raking in the resources to implement? Or any problems that you've encountered in your previous dealings with the donor? Yes, Sarah.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. Okay, I have one question. Basically, as regards proposal writing, I'm actually not good with it, but I'm learning. So the place where I usually find difficulty, especially because I'm also not good with M&E, so I'm still developing myself. But one of the key thing that usually, I don't know how to put it, it sets me off balance is previous experience. Like basically, what do they want? Because they always ask, they want to know what's the organization's capacity to carry out the project. So how does one sell themselves to these donors?
Okay, Sarah, thank you. So there are two aspects of this previous experience, your past experience. There's an aspect that deals with the organization itself having past experience, in implementing one, donor-funded programs, or in implementing programs with other people's money. Before I give you money, I want to find out whether you are good at handling money. And we as a growing up amongst us, we always say that if you cannot handle small money, then when you get big money, you misuse it. So how did you handle the small money? They want to know that. Whoever is going to give you money, whether it is individual or it is, they want to get that one. The other level of the organization's experience in the fund in that is, have you done a similar thing before? Or have you done something closer to that? If it is youth unemployment, have you really done youth unemployment programs? You may not have done youth employment program, but you may have done something closer to that has generated employment. So you need to put in there that yes, we haven't done youth unemployment per se, but we've done something that has generated employment, and this is how we went about it. These people gave us the money, or we got money from ourselves and we use it to do this. And this is how we went about it. So that is the part that on the organization. Then you're also looking at the individuals who you are fielding. Do you really have a team that would implement this program? What is the background of the team? Have they done similar things before? Have they worked on donor projects before? If they haven't worked, just say they haven't worked. They haven't worked on donor program, but they have worked in the private sector, and this is what they did in the private sector. They haven't done this particular thing before, but they have experience in policy. Normally, I would add something like a table that summarizes who we have on the team and then their various expertise. And you just tick the boxes in there. And in the end, it makes up for the past experience that the individuals are bringing on board and the organization. That is always what they are looking for. Where you don't have all these things, but you have the ideas to do it, a way out is to partner with an organization that has those skills. And then you haven't handled money before. You haven't handled donor money before. You haven't handled any other person's money before. So you would go in and look for a partner who has handled the money before, and you say that I'm going to partner with this. Even though the idea is coming from us, we are partnering with this. So the money that you are going to give us, pass it through this organization, and they would now give us the money to work. That is how you go about it. If you did it like that, no donor will say they won't give you any funds. Am I clear, Sarah?
Yes, yes. But what if, let's say, for example, there are funding for basically new organizations, like they encourage new organizations that are not registered to apply, meaning that they keep saying that they can give these organizations money to carry out funding, and they keep, for many of them, some of them even have limits of the amount of expenses an organization must have had in previous years in order not to have too experienced organizations. So what would you say about that one?
It's also another requirement that if they ask for that. The last organization that was founded during the COVID in 2020, we founded it in July. You can Google it. It's called T-Tail. The organization is called T-Tail. Now, we founded it in July. We didn't have experience as an organization. We actually set up the organization, went to the donor, did the co-creation. It is the donor that gave us our first money to even set up the organizational structure and the framework. They gave us the money to do the work, to go hire accommodation, do this, do that, and then get our policies and everything. Once they saw that we were following what we said we were going to do to be able to kickstart the organization, by February the following year, 2021, the first tranche of approvals of the money came in for another 3 years. Just this month, they've given us another set of money for the next, only God knows how long we'll be using that money, because the money is huge. So they really can come and give you small money to start the process. And then it is always a way to help you build the capacity of donor reporting. And then as you go, they keep increasing it to make sure that you do. However, if you miss the opportunity of that small money that they're giving you, then you don't you won't get future monies again. So there are cases like that where you don't have the experience, but you've gone in to sell your idea, and then they'll co-create. And I know other organizations that donors have funded that they didn't even exist. They were more or less a creation or a co-creation with the donors' active participation to get them on board to implement the programs. Sometimes some organizations come out of a program. So you are implementing a program in a larger organization. The program is about to end. The donor says, so and the program was being implemented maybe by Mexico. And then the donor says, no, this time we want a local organization from Abuja. There's no local organization from Abuja that has ever done that before. It is a team of people who implemented it while they were working with international organization Mexico. So the donor encourages them to come, the team members to come together and then establish an organization, an NGO or a social enterprise to implement the program. That is how, or in some cases, they also do. But in all these, they would ask and find out what would be your financial sustainability plan. So you have to demonstrate that you have a financial sustainability plan. That if the donor takes the money or that money finishes and the donor is no more interested, can you survive? And that is what you call the financial sustainability plan. I hope I'm clear. Any questions?
Yes, yeah, we are clear. We are listening.
Okay. Any questions, any comments? Questions, comments?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Can you elevate your voice a bit? I don't think we are hearing you.
Can you hear me now? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
I said it's clear. There's no question from my hand.
Okay. Oh, Jeremiah, you are welcome.
Can I ask a question?
You can.
Okay, like for example, on this financial sustainability plan, for example, if they ask what can you, or if the donor withdraws their finances from the organization, how can the organization survive? Is corporate social responsibility, can it be included? Then maybe raising funds through dues or other donors or local individual donors like that. Can you include those ones?
Can you explain what you mean by corporate social responsibility?
if there are encouraging institutions within the locality to support your project.
Correct. So this is this has been one of the latest thinking in development, and we call it the shared value movement, or the shared value framework. Now, what you do, and the shared value framework is that you as an organization, as a change agent, as a social entrepreneur, you have what it takes to implement the program. And the organizations such as Shell, ExxonMobil, Diageo, and all those other big Dangote, they have what they call corporate social responsibility departments or citizenship departments. They have the money, but they are not into implementing programs. You don't have money, but you know how to implement programs. So what you do is to develop a partnership where you go and pitch to them that we are going to form alliances and strategic partnership with these corporate social, the citizenship departments of these organizations, including the banks. And then we will take whatever it is and design programs and implement it for them. That is how it is being done. I've done that and raised money from the tractor manufacturers, John Deere Foundation, and then also raised money from APSA, or what used to be called Barclays. They actually just wrote, it's a gift. They gave the agreement. I just executed a deed of gift, and then go and implement the program. We want to improve employment for young people or ready to work thing. And I said, look, I have the solution to that. And so, okay, take it, go and do that. Or the oil company. So Tallow Oil, I met an engineer, wells engineer, and we're talking. So we have some, listen, we want to do this project, but we are just engineers. We don't know how to do it. You are in development. Can you come and execute something? And you need to go and do that. So you can show to that donor that you are developing, or you have developed, or you will develop that type of partnership with the citizenship group or the citizenship departments of these major corporates. And then you take and do the implementation of the program for them. It's a whole lot of money that is sitting there, but they don't know how to do sustainable program development. They don't know. I would try and check my information, and then I'll send you some in your this on what this group. We actually set up a group called the Shared Value Movement that has been meeting regularly to see how we can really get this as a potential source of financing for young NGOs across the globe. And the membership is really very wide. And unfortunately, the person pushing, who has headed or been the architect of this group, is the renowned marketing expert, Michael Porter, and it's been well received across the globe. So I'll share some of the other information with you, and then you begin to see how you can use that as a way of diversifying your funding sources, or as a way of creating that sustainability plan for your donors. Any questions? Now let's move on to our part 2, which is just a seamless transition into that. So we've done all these things, and we are yet to go and meet with people, donors, or we meet them at the party, you know. And whenever you are attending a party, it is a conference, don't go there with the only mind that you are going to eat. make sure that you tell yourself, I would have to make a deal out of this thing. So you are going to identify and know who. So I'm going to a party, I always want to know who and who, looking at the structure of this party, who and who would be in that party. There are occasions where you will even do background check on some meetings that you are going to hold. If it's an online meeting or you know a meeting, you've seen a meeting list to get who is going there. And the reason is that get there prepared and be able to sell your ideas. You are not just going there for that particular thing that you went in, but you also have another thing to tell the people that you are capable of doing this. Or in some of the cases, it is a structured pitch that they want you to come and make a presentation to tell people that you are capable of doing this. And there are rules of doing that. Oftentimes, we go in and then we are not able to make the pitch to convince people. A month ago, I attended a pitch session where young people were brought across, and I think they were the highest young person got like $50,000 there and then. And when I entered the room, the first problem was that as we were going that day, it rained. By the time I entered the room, you see people standing. Some of the people who were coming to do the pitching that day they didn't even know the location. They didn't even know the setup. When they did the setup and then they were going to do the presentation, you could see some being nervous, some you couldn't read, they didn't even know where to stand. And then, they hadn't simulated the whole thing. And these are all things that you need to do to be able to go and do a pitch or a convincing pitch. Now, before we go on, I would play this video and let us listen carefully, and then would move on. So listen to the video as it plays on just how to organize yourself for a pitch.
The next thing is the art of pitching. Pitching is usually used to raise money, but pitching more generically is about the process of seeking agreement. You can seek agreement for money, you can seek agreement to recruit, you can seek agreement for partnership, you can seek agreement for sales. Pitching. The Latin saying, I think, therefore I am. For an entrepreneur, it is, I pitch, therefore I am. An entrepreneur is always pitching. There is what I call the 10-20-30 rule. The 10 part of the 10-20-30 rule is that the optimal number of slides for a PowerPoint pitch is 10. Maybe it's 15, but it's not the 50 that you think it is. If you can cover these 10 subjects very well, the next step will be due diligence. Many people think that if you put 50 slides together, the audience will be overcome with shock and awe, and all they can ask is, how do I wire you the money? I have never, ever seen that happen, all right? The purpose of a pitch is to get to the next stage of due diligence. The purpose of a pitch is not to try to close the venture capital firm, the partner, the customer in that meeting. The second point is the 20. I think you should be able to use these 10 slides in 20 minutes. You may have a 60-minute meeting, but I guarantee you it'll start late. The partners from the firm will come in late. You're using a Windows laptop. You can't make it work with the projector. Something will go wrong. Something will go wrong. And the third point is 30-point font. The smallest font you should use on a slide is 30 points. This single recommendation will prevent you from getting in trouble with most slides. Lots of people like to use 8, 10, or 12-point font. They like to write out the entire paragraph, and then they read the paragraph. People can read faster than you can talk. So if you put all of the text that you want to say up on the slide, they will read it if they can see it, and they will be done before you've explained it. The ideal size font is 30. If you think this is too dogmatic, let me give you an algorithm. The algorithm is find out who the oldest person will be in the meeting, take that age and divide by 2. Okay? So unless you're presenting to 16-year-olds, do not use the 8-point font.
So, is that clear for you on how?
The next thing is the art of pitching.
How to do your pitching, how to organize yourself. The last time we met here, I told you that anything can happen. Now, this afternoon, you saw that something happened. If this were a pitch that we were going to do, you got there, and if you were late, already the session started late. Some of us who logged in and then we're not getting access because there was a technical glitch. So and this is what I saw on that a month ago when I went to that pitching as a judge. And the guys came and they can't open. He's trying to open his laptop and do the presentation, and the thing is not working. And he has a video and the video is not opening and things like that. So what you do is always go to that meeting early and don't plan. If it's 2-hour meeting, don't plan for the 2-hour meeting. Anything can happen. Make sure that you can do your presentation, your meeting in the 20 minutes. Within 20 minutes, you are done. The rest can be, we can talk about something else. They tell you it is a 15 minutes meeting. Make sure that by 8 to 9 minutes, you are done with your explanation. Because the more you want to load and put more information there, the worse your situation is. You put information that the listeners, the audience, would just get and say, wow, no, let us go with this particular idea. And all the things that we're doing, all the things that we spend days to do, we should be able to summarize that and meet someone and say, this is my idea, this is what I can do. And oftentimes I've had that engagement. So you're just going and then the person comes and says, oh, you meet and you're talking, and some of the deals that I've raked in, it wasn't a structured meeting. It's just a discussion and then, yeah, what can you do? Oh, yeah, we can do this. Okay, let's take this. And then you are talking and then that is it. So always be prepared to do these things in that. Your font sizes, as you were told, should be the easiest way. Try to guess the age of the oldest person who will be in the room and divide that person's age by 2 and use that as your font size. Most often, a lot of us will put in text. And then you expect people to read. Nobody reads those things. And that is how you can get the donors, the potential partners, the potential sponsors to put in the resources. Any questions? Any questions?
No, sir.
Okay. Now, this is how the structure, your model. And your model should be able to fit into your presentation. And you should be prepared to do the elevator pitch. A few seconds and you are done. One of my good friends from Rwanda, each time we met and we're doing these kinds of work to see how we can raise money. One of the questions that she would always ask is that, and if I ask you those questions, if you met God, what would you tell God? If you just were walking and God all of a sudden appears in front of you, what will you say? And you realize that we have nothing to say. We don't even know. Meanwhile, we've been thinking of problems. You've been thinking of problems. Oh, and you go to a church, you pray and do all those things. But the moment you are working out and God just meets you and says, yes, I'm God, you get lost. You can't say anything. Or you are attending a conference and they tell you that the president of your country or Bill Gates is going to be there. On your way to lunch, you just come face to face with your president or Bill Gates. What would you say? You have a chance to tell the president, if you are from Ghana, President Akufo-Addo, tell him something. You realize that you fumble because you haven't prepared for that. And as change agents, as social entrepreneurs, to be able to move our projects, to be able to move our ideas, we should be ready at any time to tell our ideas, to sell them to whoever we need. Bill Gates, and then he will tell you that I'll give you that. I've this particular thing as a person, I've had that situation before where I go and the guy says, oh, can we go for lunch? And you think it's lunch. We go and sit down for lunch. And then we are eating. And then he says, yes, Baba, can you tell us something? No. I have to be smart to know that this is the guy who writes a check. He's the guy who will give the approval for the project. So when they say, tell us something, it's not about the food, but it is about the programs that you are doing. By the time we're moving out of the place, I had gotten my approval even before my concept was fully digested by his team, because he understood exactly what we're looking for and how we're going, and was comfortable that if he gave the money, we'll be able to implement the program. And that is the essence of pitching. That is the essence of organizing yourself to do these kinds of things. So all the things that you've done should end up you being able to present these things. Anybody sharing your experience when you had the opportunity and how you utilized it, and what went wrong or what went right?
Okay, can I share mine?
Yes, Sarah.
Okay, I remember I was sitting down. There was a time, because I started my own organization, although it's still a new organization, it's a startup. So, and we've been carrying out activities basically with personal funds and funds from individual donors who see the activities we carry out and are very interested in that. So one day I was just walking on the streets when I received a call from, because usually sometimes I post on social media with my phone number in case anyone needs clarification, so I can clarify something or explain to them. So I received a call from an officer from the Cyprus International University. So immediately, because it was not something I was expecting, I wasn't expecting any call like that. So I stood and he asked me, he said he really needs to confirm this right now. But he asked where I was. So I told him I was on the road, and he said, can I step aside? Probably find a shade, because he wants to talk to me very urgently. So I did the same thing. And the question he popped was, we went through, he said a staff found one of our posts and they decided to go through our social media handles since we don't have a website. So, and they saw a lot of activities that we've carried out, which was very impressive, and he just asked, he said, so what do you need right now? Because I actually already have, usually for me, if you ask me anything about my organization right now, what I want to do, because I already have, once I'm done with one project, the next project on my head, in short, every time I keep developing it, because I feel like at any point in time, someone may ask me what I need. So I don't need to stammer at that point. So it was actually shocking to hear that kind of, because I've never received any call like that. So I was just surprised that he asked the question. But funny enough, I was able to answer him quickly. And I said, we are expecting to carry out a project almost related to what we have done. So I explained everything to him. And I told him that we just needed funds for that. Although we had already planned, because of less, we didn't have enough funds. So we didn't plan a big program. So it was just for 2 selected schools. So I was very specific about it. And I told him the amount we were expecting to raise to carry out the project. So he caught the call and said, all right, he's going to get back to me. So I think after a week or so, they called and asked for our account detail. They asked lots of questions, at least about our organizational structure, then asked for the account detail. And also they now asked if they can make an extra flyer for us so that we can use it. So I told them yes. So they sent the money, then we built the flyer, including they added their own logo and our logo because they sought for some of the information and sent to us. So since then, that really awakened my consciousness that at any point in time, I can receive any call for anything. It could even be at an interview where some questions one doesn't expect will be put, and they may ask somebody a question that he or she does not expect. What would I say at that point? So I've always been ready. Like you can just tap me and ask me, what am I doing or what am I planning to do? I already know specifically what I'm planning to do. Thank you.
Okay. Didn't you regret that you didn't double the amount?
No, at that point, yes, there wasn't because the reason was because we had already planned a project and we had the specific schools and we already had the budget of what we wanted. So I was actually very specific about what we needed at that point. So I didn't really have much regret because I wasn't expecting much and because I was not expecting. For me, because I have also been, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm new in this or something, but I'm always keen about accountability and transparency and just being sincere because I don't know if tomorrow, because after the project, they actually called and said that if subsequently they have extra funds for anything, they are going to reach out to the organization like that.
Okay. Any other experience? Any other person with an experience in this or a story to tell about this? Jeremiah?
Yeah. Hello to everyone. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, hi. We can hear you.
Okay. Thank you ever so much for the deliberation thus far. And let me first just say I'm very happy to be with the team today. Yeah, because I really have not been well since the 24th of last month. So I'm really happy that I can join in today. Just with the topic, that is something that is very important. And it is good that we really take heed of that. Even with the story of Sarah, that is very good and really inspiring. I have had an experience too, and the reason one was just this gone Sunday. Yeah, that was the 16th of this month. Yeah, why I was lying in bed, heard it that morning, just received a call. Oh yeah, that was a very strange number. I really didn't want to answer the call because I was very weak. But I said to myself, I will have to answer the call because There have been many publications that we are making using the social media. When I answered the call, it was a guy who, hello?
Hello, yes.
When I answered the call, and he introduced himself that he was one Robert. What he asked me, he said, my man, I've seen your post. I've seen the post of your organization on Facebook, and you are doing a lot of good job. And he asked, how do you get the feeding for the animal? Because we are mainly active into agriculture. I established an NGO, though we are still at the beginning stage. Yeah. So when he posted a question to me, and I told him, actually, we have already been trying with personal funds, but go from the department, from the US embassy in our country, started to come in. But what they were supporting was an initiative that they call their own. Our core initiative, they were not supporting it. So, oh, okay. So, but then I can link you to the agriculture ministry. I can link you to the minister proper. I said, oh, really? He said, yes. He said, there is a kind of grant that is there. It's in a tune of 150 United States dollars. So I can be able to link you. So when you are ready, let me know so that we can start the process. So it was yesterday I called him. Yeah, so he made available the contact of the minister. Yeah, and he told me, when you go there, I'm going to call before you get there. So when you get there, there is a form that you're going to fill in. And actually, we are in the process. Yeah, so at all times, we actually need to understand our program, because with the social media is a very large platform. And anybody can be able to call in, and at least we should be able to know what to say, which will actually mean that we have understood our program. That is very important. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jeremiah. So any other person with any other ideas on this thing? Tijani, you haven't spoken today. Prince is not here. So get as we've seen, you heard from these two examples. Get yes, Tijani. Tijani, yes.
Good evening to you all once again.
Good evening.
Yeah. I think the time I was expecting to speak, I wasn't all up, and then we moved to the next session of the class. Yeah, when we were actually talking about how we design our business, how do you call it? Yeah, business design, a proposal design. So I remember I wasn't called, so also I probably today I was a bit silent. Already quite tired. A lot of workload today.
Did you have any idea on this topic now? Do you have any experience how you presented yourself? Your line has dropped.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Regarding maybe having to take a quick decision, I haven't had an experience with regards to the topic under discussion. Yeah.
Okay. So oftentimes these are the things.
Can I? Okay.
Yes. No, go on. Go ahead.
No, I was, I was just thinking of something, because besides receiving those kind of I call it sharp calls from donors or something like that, I know, okay, I just wanted to share another experience where I was able to build a very, very strong network. I was actually sent a link to join a meeting online. So I didn't know that it was an international meeting, but because I saw the theme of the particular discussion, I was very interested in it. So I decided to join. So I joined early. When I joined, I saw a white man. So immediately I joined, he just mentioned my name, since Sarah is a name that everyone can, it's quite popular, so everybody can pronounce it. So he did, and asked what country I was from. So I said I'm from Nigeria. I didn't actually know who he was. So he was like, okay, while we're waiting for others to join, so can you just briefly tell me what you do? Immediately. So I was able to pitch. Just within 1 minute, I was able to tell him exactly within 1 minute to 2 minutes, I think 2 minutes approximately, I was able to tell him exactly what I do. Immediately, he just told me that. So while somebody was speaking, immediately after I stopped talking, he just told me that I should drop my email on the comment section. So I did. I received an email immediately after the meeting. And while he introduced himself, I was actually shocked that he was the president of Rotary Club of World, the president of Rotary Club of World Disability Advocacy. So I feel like at any point in time, when we are able to pitch ourselves to the extent that the person who is listening understand and is able to fit, I don't know, is able to fit into what we have said, we may be able to build either a relationship or get funding or something like that. That today I actually benefit from him being one of my referees. I can actually reach out to him directly. When other persons are using protocols to get to him, I'm able to reach out to him directly. So that's one thing I've benefited from pitching, even when I feel I was not ready.
Okay. So the pitching, as we heard from the short video, is not just for funding. Sometimes it's for agreement, just to tell somebody about your project, and then you get the network, and then they do the linkages for you, and that is how we or why we do all these things, and we've taken our time to get ourselves involved. And my famous question that I've always asked is, if you met, just always think this thing aloud, that if you met God and then he asked you, he didn't just, this is God, we've all heard of God, is the, what will you do? We should be ready to make the request. We should be able to tell God of ourselves. I was watching something last night of somebody who was teaching other people to be to do good, and then he had to go to there was judgment, and the teacher who teaches people to do good found himself in hell, and his students that went to heaven.
Hey, teacher for.
Yes, because the teacher was not living up to what he was telling the people to do. So anytime we do, these are the key takeaways. You grab the person's attention, say things that will grab their attention, get a chance to tell the rest of the story, and then make a great impression. These are the things that you are looking for. What you have to let them people know is how much how much do they know? What are their motives? What is their long-term vision? How will they benefit? Are they champions or challengers? So try as much as possible to get these things across. I'm going to share with you some pitch that we developed in this class in our last engagement. And we will see how you should organize your thing. Somebody is doing, I think one of you is doing something on reading, kids reading in one of the schools in the central region, how to improve reading. This is an example of a project that we went through the design and produced it in the class as we're doing today. And they have a video. I will always urge you to be able, through your work and everything, to put together a 1-minute video. For whatever presentation that you are going to do, put together a 1-minute video. Technology is handy. You can use your phones to develop these videos. And it should be the first. It should tell what the marketing people will call the customer persona. What is it that you are going to address? What are the issues? Because sometimes when you want to tell the story without the pictures, without a pictorial representation, the person who is listening does not really get it. They will try to be imagining. Can you imagine you telling a story about Lagos or about Abuja to someone living in New York? They are so disconnected. He wouldn't really understand what you are talking about. Or we are talking something in Liberia. The person is far distant. You wouldn't really know what it is. So I'll start with this video, which is a 1 minute, and then I'll run you through the presentation that we made as a pitch.
For the average child in rural Ghana, quality education is nothing but a dream. Schools in Ghanaian rural areas are few and far between, and often lack the basic materials, environment, and conditions to give children access to quality learning experiences. While urban areas might fare better in terms of educational amenities, research shows that children still have difficulty in reading and comprehension at the basic levels of education. What structures can be put in place to ensure that children in the rural areas have access to quality education and that their counterparts in the urban areas do not fall through the cracks of the educational system?
Now, if you were looking at this video and you would see the overcrowding perhaps, and you can get to understand it. Now, these we're looking at how to develop materials for kids to be able to learn. And they started with that. So it catches the attention. And they have their thing is telling you the problems, and you begin to see these are rare areas in our rural areas. This is the way the kids are sitting, and they have come out with their theory of change, how to change this situation in rural Ghana as part of a project like you. And they made it, and then this is the way the project was going to be implemented. And then I think they were asking for some amount of money. They had already invested 140, and they were looking for 400,000. And that in 5 years, they could make almost $1 million. This is the way they presented that idea, and then it is. So you see that it doesn't have a lot of text, but it goes straight to the point to really address what we are looking for and what we are doing as part of the program that we said we're going to do. Now, another one that we had, which also looked at more or less trying to address the issue of water in rural areas. And in their presentation, when they were meeting the donors, this is what they had to say.
Safe water and sanitation are critical. Without them, life is in crisis. Today, 884 million people have no clean water. 2.6 billion people have nowhere to go to the toilet. Half the hospital beds in developing countries are filled with people suffering from diarrhea caused by dirty water and poor sanitation. Diarrhea is the biggest child killer in Africa. Worldwide, it kills 4,000 children every day, more than AIDS, malaria, and measles combined. 443 million school days are lost every year due to water and sanitation-related diseases. Millions of children waste countless hours collecting dirty water from distant sources. And if schools lack decent private toilets, teenage girls often drop out altogether. This crisis makes progress impossible. And yet there's a huge shortfall in funding. In 1990, 8% of aid was allocated to water and sanitation. By 2009, that had shrunk to just 5.5%. Governments across Africa recently agreed to spend 0.5% of GDP on sanitation. In almost all cases, this promise has not been met. Toilets save lives. They are cheap, simple, and effective. For every dollar you invest in water and sanitation, on average, $8 is returned in better health and increased productivity. That's people well enough to earn a living. That's children carrying satchels instead of jerry cans. That's teenage girls attending schools with decent private toilets. Every day, up to 4,000 children's lives could be saved. All governments can do more to solve the water and sanitation crisis.
So you would see that this is a project that the proposers wanted to look at clean water. But you go and say, I want to do this. But they've given you the story. And they've told you the story, presented it in a video. And so this is a video creation that they themselves did. And when you are able to put your project like that and you put that to the donor, you get the donors their concentration, because then you've actually addressing what they have to invest in. So always give in your presentations and all the things that you want to be able to meet with people and discuss. When they ask you to come and give them a presentation, make sure that you have a video attached to it. And a short video, like I've just shown you, would suffice. It shouldn't be that long video that you have maybe 5 minutes. No, 1 minute video. And all of you sitting here and listening to this, I know you can use your phones to come out with videos that you present to people who are willing to fund your project. Any questions? Any problems? Anybody who is able to use the video to do these things? How many of you have been able to produce a video using your programs and create give the narrative, the background to the thing, condense, and then you say, okay, this is like the Abuja story or the Kaduna story of empowering the girls. You start with the problem and this is what it is. Anybody watching it would have, you just go home and carry all the sacks of money that they have in their bedroom and come and give it to you and say, go ahead and implement this program. How many people who has ever used, who can produce a video here? Sarah?
I have. Yes, I have.
You can produce a video?
Yes.
Using your phone or sometimes and your voice. And the voice is, the narrative is by your own self. You're not going to download anybody's video, your own thing, animation, and you do it.
Yes.
Okay. Any other person? This should be a new skill that we should learn. Some of us sit here, we can do, you can link up to Sarah, you will do a Zoom and then we'll teach you how to do the thing. Anybody who has, who can do or who thinks that this is not possible. Yes, Maureen.
I have done that before, but it was an animation.
You use animation.
Yeah.
Fine. I mean, it shouldn't be the real. Some of you can use pictures, some of you can use animation. You know, one of it was an animation, and then what the pictures, and you do it nicely, you know, and you embed it to your presentation. Don't show the video after the presentation. Show the video, the first thing, 1 minute, to give them the background to the story, the intervention, the background, why you are going in. So the teenagers are dropping out of school, and then they are getting teenage pregnancy, and then in the end, you know, early marriage. One of you did early marriage thing in Kaduna, and this is what is going to cause them the complication. And you are showing that. You're showing that. So anybody from the West, because it is not all of us who would read. Sometimes people will read, yet they understand what it is, but they cannot easily put that mental picture. It doesn't really count. But you know how powerful pictures are, how powerful videos are. They can really make the people go and bring everything. Sandra, your hand is up.
Sorry, I was responding to when you asked if we've used videos to tell a story or something about organization before.
And then, so have you used it before?
Yes, we have actually.
Okay. So this is the thing that if you haven't learned anything at all, this is your new presentation skills that you should develop to be able to do convincing presentation. You show the difference between you and another person. If you went and the person comes and is talking plenty, and you went, your presentation is 5 minutes. First 1 minute is a video that has captured all the things. That person's presentation is 20 minutes. And you just did 5 minutes. 1 minute, that 4 minutes talking. You capture everybody's audience, get their attention, and then they will put all the resources in your organization. Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Any comments?
No questions.
No questions.
Now, so I think we would draw the curtains here. What I'll do is that I'll send you the outstanding presentations and some of the presentations that I plan to send. And then I'm going to send you something for you to package and then submit, like a case, like putting your idea together in the presentation. And I'll send you samples of the presentations that I have so that you download, with a video. I won't PDF them. I'll just send them like 1 or 2 so that you try and then give me, all of you, something like that in not more than 5 slides, not more than 5 slides, with a video, with an attempt to do a video that this is the way our presentation will look like. Your project that you are doing, the intervention, how you intend to roll it out, how much are you looking for? If you met Dangote and he says, come and tell me and convince me that this is what you do and I'll give you some money, how much would you ask for? So I'll be sending that to you and give you timelines to submit. If you have any questions, subsequent questions, what you can do is that I'm on your platform, so you can always reach out to me, and then you can ask the question. I think some people try to reach out privately on that, and I've responded to them on how to move forward. So I'm always available to help you implement your program, so that together we can cause that change that we desire to make in our various communities. On this note, I will, if there's no comment, question, I will. Yes.
Isabella is here.
Isabella, yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. I've been listening because I don't want to see, when I say it, I'm sure you say I shouldn't say that, but it's the whole proposal and all those stuff sound a bit technical to me, but you've given me
you dropped. I can't hear you well. Isabella, you dropped.
a lot of insight, and I'm really grateful. Yes, please. Please, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Please, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, please. There's this application. Yes, this application that I'm putting in. I'm preparing to submit. My deadline is in May, and this whole video thing has given me a better idea, because sometimes you try to write things and you don't have the words to explain, because it's an award thing. It's an award thing, and so you have to find ways to put it well so that you'll be selected. And I think this has given me a lot of insight. My only difficulty is that in this part where I am, it's a rural area. Our education office doesn't have these sorts of, like with what I'm applying for, there's a requirement where you have to get probably like an award. You already have the years of experience. You meet requirements for all other things, probably your innovations, your projects and everything. But you are in a district where you are doing stuff. It's recognized. You always told, oh, you are doing well. The schools where you reach out to, they acknowledge and everything. But you don't get anything solid to show that, oh, probably or maybe there's no award ceremony or anything at where you are. How do you go about such a thing? Because you don't have any nominations for anything. You don't have, those things don't even happen at where you are. But in your application, there is that requirement. What do you do?
So what you do is that each time you go, if there's so the schools, then they acknowledge. There should be a letter of acknowledgement that you
came.
And then sometimes you take pictures.
Okay, yes.
This ceremony, you can organize and take pictures as evidence that this is what you were doing, and it shows the pictures. No matter when you are taking pictures, there are rules of pictures in development.
Yeah.
Never take a picture without a human being in it. The picture should be communicating some information.
Yes.
Don't just take pictures because you are just taking pictures for picture's sake. Take a picture that will be communicating. When I look at the picture, I know the information you are communicating to me. Letters of acknowledgement or appreciation will suffice. So these are the things that you can add as part of the things that you listen. The away they don't afford you, forget about it. But
because it's a question I think I discussed with my husband is helping me. So it's something I asked, and he's like, it's not everybody who gets something done and gets an award for it.
Yes.
People show appreciation, but if there is no award, it doesn't mean that you should forge that you've gotten it. No.
Yes.
So I needed clarification on that. Thank you.
Oh, thank you too. Any other? Yes, Josephine.
Okay, I want to react to the last speaker. I was thinking instead of award, can you quantify your impact instead? Like, how many children, I don't know what you are doing though. How many children have you been able to bring into school?
Okay.
Compared to before, maybe before 100 children were not going to school, but as you started, 20 children are now going to school, remaining 80 persons that are not yet in school. So I feel that's an impact you are making already. So if you can show your impact, I feel it will still go a long way.
Thank you very much.
That is correct. So you should be able to quantify the so what of what you are doing. The so what of what you are doing is the impact you are creating. And then you could go and add things like sometimes if you are writing, we will put in text boxes.
Okay.
Of people saying something about it. So the kids, you can do an interview.
Okay.
You interview
Okay.
them, you say something, and then you transcribe it and have a text box. This is even coming from the community. We made this, and this is what they said. So there are a whole lot of those things from that perspective. Be able to yes.
Yes, please.
Don't just do the output. Try and in the outcome. So what she said was that before you started, how many people were in school? How many people are currently in school now? That is the impact. That is the outcome. And that is what the donor is looking for.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other?
Please, I'll get in touch personally. Thank you.
No problem. Any other? I don't want to take you because we've actually done our time, even though we started late. So we've actually done more than we've been sitting here for more than 2 hours. I would drop here, but I'll call on Erasmus, baby, if you and Jasper, any one of you, if you have any questions, any announcements. Erasmus.
Yes, Mr. Adongo, I'm here.
Okay, so if you have any announcements.
Yes, just a quick one, looking at the time. Hi, leaders. It's been a great moment and experience along the line as we come to the final stages of our track modules. And then it's been quite engaging, and then we would like to appreciate you all for your coordination, your cooperation, and then your timeliness and your commitment shown to this training. And we hope all that we've learned so far from these great facilitators of ours will go a long way to really cause us to impact our small communities. And then with our minute projects or initiatives, we will change Africa for the better. Before we go, because this is the last day for our track session, I have heard Mr. Dongo coming up with an exercise for you to be doing. And then for the rest of the week, we have left it open without any other webinar sessions so that you can have enough time to really engage the resources on the learning platform. Those of you who have not finished some aspects should go back and finish. Those of you who have finished should go back to recheck and make sure they have 100% completion rate in all modules. Moving on, we'll be sharing with all of you the completion rate so far, so you will know whether you have finished a particular module or not. And then in the space where we are having tomorrow, Thursday and Friday, and even possibly the weekend for yourself, we'll be having a feedback session with you on Friday. An email, I'm sure, should be coming into your boxes by now. And so we are looking at having a feedback session with you on Friday, this Friday, to get in touch with you as to how the training has been so far, what your thoughts are, what we are expecting from you right after this, after you have completed your track or your electives, as you may say it. So we are moving on to the simulation, which is the final experiential learning. And then there are some resources on your platform under the experiential learning, which we would like you to also engage. And then it's all part of building you up in one way or the other, and then creating some kind of relationship with you from the RLC and from within your group, so that currently a lot of things are happening virtually. So there should be a virtual communication and a virtual relationship. And then moving forward, we think what you have gotten so far, you can collaborate, network to do something great. And so that's it. We'll get back to you with the details of the feedback on Friday. And then we are also trying as much as possible to upload to work on the videos, the live webinar sessions, so that we can have a link where you can access to get the videos. We tried uploading them, but we realized that they were too heavy for the platform. And so it was slowing down the running time of the platform. And then even people who are having challenges connecting to the platform, once the platform becomes very heavy, connectivity becomes very difficult. So we took it out, we took all of them out, and then we are getting a box, a drive link, so that you can access those recordings on them. And then with your poster presentations is one of the experiential learnings. So we will be meeting you to share feedbacks with you, and then we will have judges comment on what you have done so far. It will be very short because they will have the opportunity to watch your videos and then your presentations before we come on that session. So it will be very short of a time. And then I think basically that is what I want to share with you, because we are going to leave you for a while. And then we'll share with you the groupings as well for your simulation. And then we'll share with you the areas or the topic or the theme for the simulation, so that you can have enough time to work on them right from this week to the 9th of May, where you will do your presentations virtually for us. So members, fellow leaders, I would like to end here.
Thank you. Please, I want to ask a question. I think in our group levels, people leaders keep asking, so what happens to when you check our experiential part, the path for our experiential, you realize that those who have probably gone through the modules, watched the videos and everything, they have about 78%. Does it mean that the group leaders who individually submitted their posters via emails, it's not indicating there, or it's not showing there? What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, with experiential learning, usually when we are looking at the resources on the platform, we take into consideration the technical aspect of the training, which is the core modules, and then your track modules. Those are the focus for us. And then what we do with the experiential learning is to engage you virtually, to speak on what you have done, and then to have you bring to bear all that you've learned within the softness of the skills. So we are looking at you doing the technical aspect when it comes to civic leadership. But then when we look at poster presentations, we open you up for the possibilities of those who want to do community service. So it opens you up for a lot of things or areas you can look at. Those of you who wants to go into NGOs, the pictures or the photos or the themes you choose opens you up for areas you can look at. And then it's meant to build some kind of soft skills when it comes to presentations, when it comes to creating videos, when it comes to using tech to do something a little, to have a touch on that. So the experiential learning has to do with much more of us engaging ourselves and in the group work itself. So the group dynamic, learning how to work within a team, the group dynamics, appreciating backgrounds, even though it is virtual, and then coming to bear with your knowledge and how to negotiate with other colleagues as to your point. So basically, it's a very prime area of the training, but we look much more of a technical aspect. So don't worry, you are good to go.
Okay, sorry, please. My own question is just to add to what she has asked. You know, there is a deadline for most of the activities under the experiential course. Like mine, I have been able to attempt all, that I have 92%, apart from the submission of the poster presentation, which I know that it was acknowledged through email. So what she's asking, because I feel like what she's asking is trying to understand, because there is a you know, you already said we're supposed to have 100%. So, and there is a deadline on the experiential course. So how do we go about it, considering the fact that it is not complete? So does that mean that we are fine, just like you have responded? Like if you have 92%, it's okay, since what is remaining is the poster presentation upload.
Okay, so basically what I'm saying is, with experiential learning in that area, you are fine. Just to make sure you do your part and then leave where you are supposed to upload the poster that you didn't, but a group leader did it on your behalf. And once there has been a communication of receipt from our end, I hope you are okay to go. What we have done now is to also extend the deadlines. So we are looking at extending the deadlines, which we have started already. When you look at your quizzes, and then some of the deadlines which was meant to be even today and yesterday, we have extended all of them. And so you have enough time to complete all of this. Just make sure you are within schedule, and then you are within the task, so that you will not be overwhelmed as to finishing something you're supposed to finish whilst we are doing simulation, as to finishing something you're supposed to finish whilst we are calling for feedbacks. So that's basically it. So we've extended the time to almost the last day of the training. So if there are no comments, no questions anymore, we'll still be with you on Friday, where you have all the time. So kindly put down all your issues. When we meet on Fridays, we'll discuss them. I think this is an online program, and we've gone past 2 hours, which is quite exhausting. So let's leave it here and then write down everything. When we meet on Friday, please tell your colleagues to join in, because that is when you can really communicate or make us aware of any issue you have, and then we can help you out of it. If not that, we'll finish this program and then we'll bid you goodbye, just like all our game participants on this program, without you being part of the next phase of the program, as in the post-training session. So kindly put all your concerns, your thoughts, your doubts, your inconveniences, your problems down, and then we'll meet on Friday, and then we'll share them quickly in about an hour or an hour and a half. I think I'm sure that should work for us. So on this note, I'd like to say thank you for being around, and we are so much grateful for your commitment up to this end. All we pray for is to you going back there and replicating whatever you have learned and impacting lives, no matter how minute it may be. So thank you, Jeremiah, Dave, Isabella, Sarah.
Thank you
And I'd like to say, yes, and I'd like to say a very big goodbye, whether small or big, goodbye to all of us. So bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.